What's happening, world? Be Marsh Boxing, and I'm back at. So the man Bud Crawford was on Ak and Barack show. I don't even know where they play that show at. I don't listen to them fellas. Them fellas be tugging on the zone's nuts and every fight on the zone, and they don't ask the real legitimate questions. And you would think these fellows is thorough because they from Brooklyn and would keep it 100. You know what I'm saying? As far as boxing from our perspective. So I don't go out of my way to look for Ak and Barack. Never listen to their show. I don't even have XM radio. So it is what it is. But apparently the man Bud Crawford was on their show and he said, I'm paraphrasing, that Canelo shies away from black fighters. He says something about Canelo should um, seems like he didn't want to fight Andrade or Jamel Charlo, and it seems like black fighters give him the most problems in the ring. Now, Bud Crawford is speaking to Akam Barack, and that's an interview like that. I definitely would probably want to listen to it rather than read from this article what the man Bud Crawford says. But really and truly, there's some truth to that. There's some truth to what Bud Crawford is saying. You know what I mean? Now, Bud Crawford is basically pointing out what many boxing observers have seen Canoli do as far as lately. Canoli's been on a mission to fight all these European fighters, basically. His last fight, Avni Yildirim from Turkey. Before that, Callum Smith from England. He's fighting Billy Joe Saunders this year. And he might be fighting the man Caleb Plant come September, you know what I mean? All these guys, to be honest, Caucasian fighters, which is all well and fine, but he didn't clean up the division at 160 pounds, where there were some dangerous, undefeated black fighters. Really and truly, a man like Canoli would get more respect from the boxing public alike and everybody who follows boxing if he fought undefeated fighters like Jamel Charlo, who I believe is like 31-0, 22 KOs. Demetrius Andrade, I believe he's like 28-0. Okay, these are undefeated fighters. But, Canoli elected to fight the man Avni Yildirim to the point where Eddie Hearn says he feels sick that he paid Avni Yildirim all that money but didn't get to break bread like that with fellas like Estrada and Chocolatito, who are Hall of Fame bound, who are building their legacy and resume each and every fight as they go along with their career. Can't say the same for Avni Yildirim. Can't say the same for Callum Smith. Callum Smith's best victory up until his best victory period is beating George Groves, who was a little past his prime, who came into that fight with a shoulder injury. And he was giving him work for about 5 to 6 rounds before Callum Smith caught him and stopped him in the 7th round, you know what I mean? So, Callum Smith, congratulations to him when he won that World Boxing Super Series tournament. But at the end of the day, not all best super middleweights were in that tournament. So we can look at the landscape right now at super middleweight. Super middleweight's not a glamour division. Middleweight is, you know what I mean? Why does he have aspirations and ambition to become undisputed at 168, but he was one strap away at 160 from becoming a undisputed champion if he so happened to beat Demetrius Andrade, who was on the same network as far as the DAZN app, like Canoli was, you know what I mean? And, Eddie Hearn also has to be blamed. Eddie Hearn promotes the man, Demetrius Andrade, but hasn't done jack-ish for the man as far as trying to secure for him the big fights. Eddie Hearn is on this DAZN app promoting guys like Canoli, Triple G, etc. How comes Canoli and Triple G get easy touches when there's an undefeated fighter with a strap in Demetrius Andrade on the same platform as Canoli and Triple G? If that's not fishy to y'all, then I don't know what to say. You know what I mean? I don't have to spell it out. You can see it clear. You know what I mean? Put on your color contrast sunglasses and just look at the picture clearly. You know what I mean? Like I said, there's some truth to what the man Bud Crawford's saying. Now, cannoli fanatics will come and say, "Oh, but he fought Danny Jacobs." I gave him a lot of credit for fighting Danny Jacobs, except for putting the rehydration clause. I wasn't with that at all. And those are the type of advantages Cannoli must seek in order to fight an opponent. You know what I mean? He doesn't give him a fair shot as far as not testing positive for steroids, not always giving guys rehydration clauses, bringing fellas like Amir Khan up in weight, a career really 140 pounder, bringing him up to 155 pounds and damn near killing that man. Look, man, Cannoli has a track record, y'all. You know, you can't compare this guy Cannoli to fellas like Pacquiao, Mayweather, just legends like that. I know the man Manny Pacquiao at 18 years old became a world champion in this boxing game. 18 years old, okay? When he fought a guy by the name of Chachai Sasakul, an undefeated fighter. I believe he was like 33-0 at the time. Undefeated WBC and lineal champion. The man Chachai Sasakul had beat a great fighter from Russia based out in Japan. Um, his name's escaping me right now, you know what I mean? But this guy's always on the Hall of Fame ballot, you know what I mean? Um, but that's who the man Pacquiao beat for his first world title at 18 years old in the man Chachai Sasakul's backyard in his home country of Thailand, okay? For a WBC and the lineal strap. How about Floyd Mayweather, right? 2 years into becoming a pro, Floyd Mayweather became a pro in 96. By 1998, he fought the man Canelo Hernandez, the WBC and lineal super featherweight champion, okay? And the man, who did the man Canelo Hernandez beat? He beat an all-time great in the man Azuma Nelson, who was the WBC and the lineal super featherweight champ. That's who Floyd Mayweather beat. Now let's look at the man Cannoli. His first world title was versus Matthew Hatton, Ricky Hatton's younger brother, who at the time was a welterweight, not even ranked in the top 10 at welterweight. But the WBC gave this man Cannoli, threw him a bone, and brought the man Matthew Hatton up to 154 pounds to fight Cannoli for a vacant WBC strap. Now look, I know boxing. I watch boxing. Been watching boxing for years, for decades now. And I know BS, and I see fishy-ish when it's just right in front of you, and they can't fool me. Man like Cannoli is kryptonite, and every fighter has a kryptonite. Don't all great fighters do, okay? Manny Pacquiao has a kryptonite just as well as every fighter. And the man Cannoli's kryptonite is fellas like Erislandy Lara, whom I thought beat the man Canelo. I had him beating him on my scorecard. 8 rounds to 4. At worst, 7 rounds to 5. The other guy that of course Floyd Mayweather schooled the man, okay? Since when has Cannoli fought a slick black fighter? Since that Erislandy Lara fight. You know how long ago that was? Do you want me to tell you how long ago that was? Try 2014, okay? Because the man Cannoli, after the Floyd Mayweather loss, fought Angulo. Alfred Angulo. Then after that, he fought the man Erislandy Lara. Now, Danny Jacobs, by no means. Danny Jacobs can box, but I've been said it all along, just like I had in my breakdown and prediction for Cannoli versus Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs could fight, but he doesn't have no levels, no gears. He doesn't know how to turn it up a notch. You know what I mean? Danny Jacobs' footwork is not that great. He can punch, but he only knocks out fighters who are not on elite level. That's why his KO percentage was super high up until he starts facing the likes of Triple G's. And look, he couldn't even knock out Gabe Rosado. And nobody really knocks out Gabe Rosado, but the man came up out of there with a draw. And that should really tell you of the caliber of opposition the man Danny Jacobs was, even entering that fight versus Canoli. Not to mention he beat the man. What's that guy's name? What's that guy's name, y'all? What's the dude's name? The dude from the Russian, the Russian who fights out of Brooklyn, or Ukrainian. Man, I'm having a hard time remembering these Eastern European fighters' names. Uh, Devrichenko. Okay, when he beat the man Devrichenko, that was a close fight, y'all. That was a very close fight. I had Danny Jacobs winning, but barely. To me, the knockdown was the difference in that fight. Otherwise, I probably would have had that fight a draw. But the knockdown was the difference, okay? Nothing against Devrichenko, but Devrichenko also was a fighter who had like 10 fights by the time he fought Danny Jacobs. So he wasn't quite the seasoned pro. He had a long amateur background, but wasn't quite the seasoned pro as what you call it, the man Danny Jacobs. So Canoli hasn't fought those type of black fighters that could give him issues. Not to mention undefeated fighters like Andrade and Charlo. And that's not to say that Andrade and Charlo beat him. Canoli might be even the favorite. But as a boxing fan, styles make fights, and these are the fights we'd like to see. But Canoli's not giving us those fights. JD80's in the chat. What's up with you, man? He says, yo, B March, did you know that Canelo lost to Miguel Vasquez 2 times early in his career in Guadalajara, but the judges gave him the gift decisions? Now, I do know he fought Miguel Vasquez, yes, but I have never seen those fights, you know what I mean? Really and truly. I've never seen those fights. JD80 says, all the spectators had Vasquez completely outboxing Canelo. Woo! So I might have to look up them fights, you know what I mean? Like I said, I've only seen the results, maybe on Box Rack, you know what I mean? But I never watched those fights, you know what I'm saying? But and Miguel Vasquez, he himself was a tricky fighter in his prime. A guy who was a champion for 5 years, a boogeyman, a guy who was a Mexican fighter, but not the typical um, left hook to the body Mexican pressure style fighter. He was a slick boxer, that Miguel Vasquez was, you know what I mean? Uses his jab, stays hit and get hit. That was Miguel Vasquez style of fight, you know what I mean? Now Miguel Vasquez now is a little past his prime. That's why Eddie Hearn been calling him up there to England to fight all these guys, you know what I mean? From the Josh Taylors, O'Hara Davises, the Ritson guy, you know what I mean? He's like basically on a British world tour, the man Miguel Vasquez. That's who Eddie Hearn been feeding his matchroom England fighters to, So I wouldn't doubt it one bit. JD80. JD80 says Canelo couldn't land a clean hit on him. I wouldn't doubt it one bit. I was there live in the building when the man Mickey Bay versus um, Miguel Vasquez at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas on the undercard of Mayweather Maidana. And I thought they robbed the man Miguel Vasquez, you know what I mean? I didn't like how they snatched that strap from him, but not legitimately by beating him. And I wasn't surprised because that fight was the very first fight of Mayweather Promotions. The Mayweather Promotions banner did not include Golden Boy, and Mickey Bay at the time um, was a Mayweather fighter. Look, I just remember the name of that fighter that I was talking about who made Pacquiao beat Chachai Sasakul, and Chachai Sasakul beat a great fighter, one of the first professional boxers to ever come out of Russia, but had to be based in Japan. Had to flee, basically like how Cubans have to flee from Cuba to defect to come be professional fighters in the United States. The guy's name was Yuri Abakov. His skills changed. I'm sorry, his skill set was off the meter. You know what I mean? And that's what the fuck. This jank says now that 24 seconds. I don't know. My internet keep tripping, man. Something about when I be in this room, the internet be bugging. But yo, Terrence Crawford, there's some truth to what he's saying, and the only thing, like I said, Canoli has ambitions and aspirations to become undisputed at 168, where the competition level is whack. Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Plant, two peas in a pod, two A-alikes. Only thing different from them, one is from England, one is from USA. Both of them be cherry picking and fighting whack fighters, you know what I mean? And that's who Canoli's trying to unify with to become undisputed, you know what I'm saying? Um, but at 160, the man had what he fought. He fought Triple G. Triple G, I believe, at the time had a WBC and IBF strap. Um, and then the man Canoli even vacated his WBC strap in order not to face his mandatory, um, Jamal Charlo, excuse me. But the man Canoli was all for fighting his mandatory in Avni Yildirim, you know? Got to put things in perspective, you know what I mean? He was all for fighting the man Avni Yildirim as his mandatory, but didn't want to fight his mandatory in Jamal Charlo. Triple G neither. He ain't want to fight Jamal Charlo when he was his mandatory, okay? He was one strap away from becoming undisputed at 160 pounds. Like I said, fighting Demetrius Andrade. He ain't want to do it. So, yo, B-Marsh Boxing. JD80's in the chat. He says, I think Crawford would beat Canelo. Um, I think if they were the same weight class, I think he would beat him. But if the man, Bud Crawford at 147, had to go up in weight to 168, I'd have to favor Canoli. Because 9 times out of 10, Canoli probably get that man a rehydration clause. You know what I'm saying? So, yo, B-Marsh Boxing, man, let me know what y'all think about Bud Crawford. You think his claims that Canoli shies away from black fighters is true? Like I said, there's some truth to it. And there's proof. The proof is in the pudding. You don't have to look no further than the type of caliber fighters that Canoli has elected to fight since 2014 when he got that dubious split decision victory or majority split decision victory versus the man Arislandi Lara. All right, JD, peace, my brother. Thanks for coming through. Big ups to everybody in the chat who hit the thumbs up. And I'm going to catch you on the next one. I'm gone. Peace.